I'm going to read. Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals hereby gives notice in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 11, that a virtual remote public hearing will be held at 7:30 p.m. on June 16th, 2020, on the amended petition submitted by Sheboygan Properties LLC, 80 Washington Street, Suite J40, Norwell, Mass. 02061, to allow the construction of a 5,008 square foot single-story retail building with 22 parking spaces on the site located at 1015 Hingham Street, Rockland, Mass. 02370. The applicant is seeking a dimensional variance per section 415-89.1 zoning variances, 415-22 building and lot regulations, and 415-22A.2.d parking area setbacks. The owner of the property is 1099 Hingham Street Realty Trust, care of Jumbo Capital Management LLC, TR 1900 Crown Colony Drive, Suite 405, Quincy, Mass. 02169. The site is in an H1 zone and is further identified as Lot 11 on the Rockland Assessors Map number 4. A copy of the amended petition is available upon request electronically from the town clerk, 781-871-1874, extension 1, or zoning board of appeals, 781-871-1874, extension 1195. I'm going to leave it at that. And the only other thing that I didn't say was, let it be known that this public meeting is being recorded by video and audio resources. Before we kind of kick this off, Tony, I wanted to talk to you about the previous meeting on this, and we kind of left it open. And then they come in with an amended petition. Do we have to close that other meeting?
No.
So it's kind of left open, and
It's an amended petition on this under the same file number.
Okay.
And it's all in the record last time of why they had to amend it, and they were here on that for that reason. So you can go ahead.
All right, just continue as it was.
Yep.
Okay. Since this is a new meeting where it's an amended application, basically we're not dealing with the special permit anymore. We're only dealing with the variances. Is that correct, Tony?
That's what my understanding is from the publication, yes.
Okay, so we're only dealing with variances on this. We're not going to talk about site design. We're not going to talk about anything else other than the variances that are being sought at this point. Mr. Bracken, do you want to address this?
Yes, thank you. For the record, Don Bracken, professional engineer with Bracken Engineering. Jim Rady, the applicant, is also on this meeting as well. As you stated, the application has been amended. If you recall, the previous application requested a special permit under the bylaw for general retail use. There was some conversation at the last meeting whether or not that was allowable in this district. And the amended application removes that with the intention that either the final tenant or use will be an allowed use in the district, or at that time a variance, a special permit could be applied for depending on the use. If you recall, Mr. Rader is not the owner. He's a prospective purchaser of the property, and there is not a known user or tenant at this time. The other amendment we added to the variance request was the 10-foot setback from property lines to parking areas and maneuvering areas. That was picked up during the review as well. So those are the two changes. One other thing I would like to point out is that we did revise the plans, which I would like to share in a few minutes. But the application says 22 parking spaces. The plans were actually updated to provide 23 spaces. I think that was left over from the first application, and we just didn't change that. So with your permission, if I may share a highlighted plan to go over the changes.
If it's directly related to the variance, then go for it.
Yes.
All I really want to talk about is the variances that you're requesting relief for. That's really all I want to talk about, because as far as I can see, this is still going to have to go to the planning board for site plan review.
That's absolutely correct. So
I don't want to even talk about site plan stuff. All I want to talk about is the variance. I want to make this as simple and easy as possible.
That's great. All I'll do is I'll pull the plan up and remind everybody exactly where we're looking for those variances.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, can everyone see the plan here? So, again, we're looking for a side yard variance. If you see my mouse moving over on this side on the easterly property line from 30 feet to 15 feet, and then a rear yard variance for this portion of the building from 30 feet to 27.6 feet. The other issue that came up was the 10-foot setback from the property line to the parking area. There was a conversation on this driveway access. This was revised. So this area in particular requires relief because it will be used for maneuvering. It requires relief from that 10-foot setback to parking areas. In the application, we specify 10 feet to 1 foot, just to, because the rest of it, from 1 foot to the property line is really a driveway. So we're assuming that most of this area will be used for maneuvering, specifically for the loading area that's located on the back corner of the building. The last meeting, I did go through the narrative for the where we felt we met the requirements for a variance. I won't do that again, but if there are any questions or you need any further explanation on meeting the variance requirements, I'd be happy to go through it. And that's it. But
I did email, no, actually Kim emailed out the draft minutes from the last meeting. Did everybody have a chance to look at that?
Yes.
All my board members?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Again, the only thing I want to talk about is the variances, not site design in any way, shape, or form. So we're going to start right out. Mr. Baker, go for it.
Did we get a copy of the easement agreement?
right, sorry. Right now, the easement that I've highlighted in this aqua color, that's proposed. Until we go through conservation and planning board site planning, it's going to remain proposed. I'm sure that'll be a condition on the site plan approval prior to applying for a building permit, that those documents be submitted. But right now, I think it's a little premature until the plans are properly reviewed. That is what we intend to be the variance at this point. I'm sorry, the easement at this point.
Okay, that's all my questions.
Mr. Tanzi.
No, I don't have any questions regarding the easement or the variance.
Mr. Hessian.
I'm the same as Greg. My only question was on that easement. I have none with the variance.
All right, Mr. Haynes.
No questions from me.
Okay, so the only questions that I have really, and this again pertains to the easement and the egress that we're talking about, where it goes over the property line, is that's only going to be used for emergency purposes, or are you talking about getting full, like 24-hour access through there?
We are now talking 24-hour access. The original plan showed it as an emergency access, and it was actually not going to be as easily connected as we're showing it for that purpose.
Okay.
But we have, anticipating planning board the application for site plan review, we have hired a traffic consultant, and he has basically finished his analysis and memo, and he strongly suggested that we make, based on the circumstances at this location, that we make that a permanent location. And that's why you'll see it's changed from that previous plan to look more permanent.
May I ask a quick question?
Please, Chuck.
Mr. Bracken, if I remember right, you said you are owner of the adjacent lot with the easement?
Jim Rady, the applicant,
Okay,
does have
okay.
ownership control on the property with the easement, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there was that. Let me get back to the other plan that I highlighted up here. In that, the bump out on the rear of the building,
Mhm.
and again, I'm not saying you had that you should have floor plans or anything like that already drafted, but in that bump out on the back of the building, any idea what that's proposed to be?
I think those are storage and utility rooms in this bump out.
All right, storage, utility room, so no live off, no live office or anything like that, because I don't see any access. I don't see any doors or any walkways in the back.
Correct. Well, again, at this stage, I'm not exactly sure where the doors will be actually located, but
Mhm.
given this being the dumpster pad and the loading zone,
Yep.
I would expect a door on the side or maybe one in the back to access the rear of the building. With the front, primarily being, whether it's a store front
Mhm.
or whatever.
Was there any thought given to sliding that bump out along the back wall to try and get that 30 feet?
It was, we did, the problem is if we slid it, this corner right here would start interfering with the 25-foot no touch zone with for the wetland,
Okay.
which is right along here. And right now, we're probably as tight as we can be to be able to construct the building as it is.
Okay. Because the only reason why I'm bringing it up, the existing contours in that area didn't show up on the plans, so it's hard to really see what the contours are in the back.
They show up on
They
one.
didn't show up on the plan?
No, I printed these off the website and they didn't show up.
Okay. I can probably try to pull one of those up.
It's because it's one of those situations where if we're able to prove a topographical issue, that's a I guess a deformity to the land, if you know what I'm saying.
Correct. Well, I think in our justifications for the variances, we did include the fact that the wetland was related to the topography along with the flood zone. I don't know if you can see this any clearer, but you can see the grading that's taken place right here. And we're pretty much matching the existing grade back along the back of the building.
Mm-hmm.
And basically for the fact that we don't have any room to grade off, and as we are doing over in this area.
All right.
So that grade will match. So that grade right now is 141, roughly at the back of the building,
Mm-hmm.
and the slab is at 145. So there will be, an exposed wall along the back.
Okay.
So that we're not changing any of those grades. So we have, again, it's a pinched area.
No, that's understood. That's
Yeah.
understood. Any chance I can get you to shut the plan off the screen?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you. At this point, I'm going to go to Mr. Rubel.
As of right now, I have no issues right now until I
All
see
right.
some drawings.
Understood. Tony, you got anything you want to say on this?
He
I'll
muted
assume that's a no. You're muted right now.
Sorry, yes, that was a no.
Okay, get a haircut. What else do we got? That's really all I've got. If nobody else has anything they want to ask or say, I'm just going to open it up to the general public, who I don't see here. If nobody has anything good or bad to say about the project, I'm going to go back to my board one more time. Does anybody have any questions, any concerns?
I have none.
No.
No, I don't have any either, Rob.
No, everybody's good. Tim, you good? Yes?
Good.
All right. I don't have my cheat sheet on me, so I'm gonna say that, we're gonna, hold on. I'm gonna go get my cheat sheet. Give me a second. Actually, I got it right here. Give me 2
Hey,
seconds.
Tony, for the record, I like the hair. Don't worry about it.
Okay, it's, they just opened up, so there's not much I can do about it right now.
Coronavirus.
There you go. All right, here we go. The board's going to deliberate tonight. You're welcome to stay. You'll receive a decision in the mail with a date stamp. 21 days from the date stamp on the decision, go to the town clerk's office. Request a certificate of no appeal. If no one has appealed, the town clerk will give you a certification and a copy of the original decision. Take those to the registry of deeds and have them recorded. One of the conditions is always to show the building department proof of recording. Okay, now.
Motion to close the public hearing.
I got a motion to, well, no, I need that motion, so I need a second.
I'll second.
All right, I got a second. I'm gonna do a roll call. Mr. Hessian,
Yes.
myself is yes. Mr. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Baker,
Yes.
Mr. Tanzi.
Yes.
That's 5-0. All right, open portion of the meeting is closed. Anybody need the bathroom? We want to start deliberating.
Let's go.
I'm fine with deliberation.
Everybody's good? All right, talk to me.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, as far as the variance, that's a unique lot. And
Yep.
I really don't see a problem with it, to be quite honest.
No, I don't either. I absolutely don't either. Does anybody see a problem with it?
No.
I've got no
I
problem.
think they did a good job keeping it out of the wetlands.
Yeah, they did. They
Yep.
really did.
No, there was a lot of thought put into this small piece of property,
Yes.
this very constrained piece of property, and I appreciate it all. All right, anybody want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All right, so we're gonna make a motion with conditions.
Okay.
All right. Condition number 1, site as built. Upon completion of construction, site as built will be required. It's number 1. Number 2, a copy of a finalized easement agreement. Doesn't have to be recorded at the time. But it would be nice to see nice to see a draft copy of an easement agreement, and upon getting a certificate of occupancy, it would be nice to see a recorded copy of said easement. Because if we're going to have this be, if this isn't if the planning board sees fit to allow this, I want to know that there's an easement agreement in place, documented, to be able to allow 24-hour access into that parking lot. I agree. I like the idea. It seems like it's going to alleviate a lot of the traffic, but I want to see that that's in place.
Rob, can I
Yes.
make a suggestion?
Please.
Maybe the condition should state that we see the drafted agreement upon approval of planning board and conservation.
Okay.
What about
And-
the traffic study, Greg?
The traffic study,
What are you going to do a traffic study on that access road?
Yeah, but we don't need it. Unfortunately, it still comes down to site design.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
My error.
I don't want to go into. I don't want to get bogged
No,
down.
I don't blame you at all. I don't blame you at all. That's my error.
But I agree. But the thing is I agree with you, Chuck. I agree with you that if, again, no, I do agree with you. But it's out of our purview. It's not. That access is not a part of our purview.
No, I agree. It's not.
So, but I would like to know that there is an easement agreement in place upon getting a CO. I think that would be required.
well, Rob, what I was getting at is I would I would not want to give the green light on a project that's, building on somebody else's land
Right,
without having an easement secured.
right.
That's what, I mean, we could say before the start of construction or, on or about the time when all approvals have been met. Because what if they go to Concom and they say, well, you need to tweak this and that, and the easement's not adequate and they had to adjust it. Fine. When they have all their permits, they'll know what they need for an easement. And I would like to have that easement secured before they break ground.
That brings up another thing. I would like, since we're the first ones they're going to, I'd like to see a finalized plan once planning board and Concom get their fingers on this. Because I was going to say guaranteed, but it's not guaranteed. More than likely, there'll be at least 1 or 2 tweaks per board. So I'd like to see that. I'd like to see a finalized design plan once it's gone through the other 2 boards. Does that make sense, guys?
It makes sense to me.
I think it should be a signed one.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Once the other 2 boards give their approval on this, then I'd like to see
Right.
a revised design plan that's acceptable to all boards. I'd like that to be a condition. Kim, you hearing us?
Yes, I've got you.
What do you got for when? I think we've got 3
You
conditions.
have 3. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else want to throw anything in there?
The only thing I would like to see with the proximity of that wetland is where he's proposing that dumpster. I really would like to see that bermed.
Bermed up so for wind or something like that,
Oh,
trash doesn't go up and over.
I'm talking runoff.
Oh, runoff.
Wetlands.
Do we
You
have?
know what? That may be Concom's issue, not ours.
Did
I
they not
thought
have?
didn't it have a berm on there? Is it?
No,
there
I
was a
had
curb.
requested it, but I didn't see it.
When you say berm, are you talking about a soil berm, or are you talking about a Cape Cod berm or a granite curving?
Berm, just like anything to prevent the runoff to that wetlands, because it is a slope towards there. Isn't it?
Did they have a detail of it? Of the Cape
Yeah,
Cod?
VCC, vertical concrete curb.
It does not slope to the wetlands.
Yeah, they got a vertical concrete curb called out.
Okay, that's fine. Nope, I'm set.
All right, so that works. That's still in relation to the variance and the 10-foot offset that they're
I'm all set. I'm all
supposed
set.
to have. All right, so that works. Anybody else? All right, hearing none. I have a motion. I have a second. We good with all the conditions?
Yes.
Yes.
Kim, you
All
good
good.
with the conditions?
Yep, I'm good.
Roll call vote. Mr. Hessian,
Yes.
myself, yes. Mr. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Baker,
Yes.
Mr. Tanzi.
Yes.
That's a 5-0. Mr. Bracken, Mr. Fader, or Mr. Rader,
Thank you very much.
congratulations.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
And again, when it's all said and done, when you go through planning board, when you go through Concom, just make sure the zoning board gets a copy of that plan. If there has to be any major changes, we need to know about that.
Absolutely.
Rock and roll. Enjoy the beverage of your choice, gentlemen,
Thank
ladies.
you very much.
Thanks.
Make a motion to close the meeting.
Yeah, I need a motion to close the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I got a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Who was the second?
That was me.
That was Mr. Haynes. Need a roll call. Mr. Hessian.
Yes.
Myself is yes. Mr. Haynes.
Yes.
Mr. Baker.
Yes.
Mr. Tanzi.
Yes.
That's a 5-0. Meeting's closed. Just a couple of things that just one thing I want to go over. I told everybody else, Mr. Baker, Mr. Tanzi. Unfortunately, Mr. Saucier has, he's put in his resignation. Work is completely and totally gone through the roof for him. He does not have the time to dedicate to the zoning board. He put in his resignation as of yesterday. So, Mr. Baker, if you so desire, put in your paperwork, sir.
Okay.
And if anybody knows anybody else that,
Remote. I do that remotely.
yeah,
On
get in contact with Doug. He'll give you the form to fill out to
Yes.
to get on the selectmen's agenda. If anybody
Okay.
knows anybody that wants to step up, we need technically we have room for 3 alternates. Because again, with 5 members only, it's going to be difficult if people need to recuse themselves on things. So that's an issue. And the only other thing during the meeting that I didn't do was choose who was voting, but I kind of think it was obvious who was voting.
The same ones.
The only ones on the board.
It was pretty much the same guys anyway.
Yeah, no, that's exactly. So,
Yeah.
if there's nothing else, then we're good.
Saturday? We have to walk around Saturday? Or is it the following Saturday?
The following Saturday, the 27th.
Okay.
Oh, Tony, you still there?
Yeah.
Can you do me a favor and get a hold of Bob Galvin? I had sent him a draft email that that I'm going to be sending out to the rest of the board members, Planning Board, Board of Health, Concom. I got permission from from Rick Lincoln for Shingle Mill. I wanted to include all the different boards in the town, and I got his permission in writing to be able to do this. But the thing is the question is, when it comes to advertising, Bob had said, and I've got this in a text message, that this does not have to be an advertised meeting for any of the boards, as long as no deliberation happens on site. And I'm quoting him in that email, and I want to make sure that I've left him a message. I sent him a draft email, and I left him a message. He's yet to get back to me. I want to be able to send that email out. Could you kind of put a bug in his ear that I'm looking for, only because I'm quoting him.
Yeah, sure, of course.
You know what I mean? I don't want to quote him incorrectly, because I think that, again, it's as long as nobody's deliberating, we should be fine, because I don't want anybody to have to advertise this, because the other portion of this is no abutters, no general public are going to be allowed on site. So that's another reason why I don't want to get this advertised, because I don't want to start anybody, thinking, oh, we're just going to show up and yell and scream, and you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, we've done them before like that, where just as long as you don't deliberate, you don't have to advertise. But I'll have him confirm that to you probably in the morning when I see him.
And again, it's only because I'm quoting him in the email.
Makes perfect sense.
Quote him incorrectly, so.
Makes perfect sense.
So that works. Anything else we need to talk about?
Nope.
No, we're good. Kim, do we need to talk about anything?
No, we're good.
No, we're good. All right. Goodbye, gentlemen. Goodbye, Kim. Thank you for attending.
Like,
See you all.